Hey everyone, I'm Jordan, and I have a massive allergy to self-help gurus. This is a podcast about solutions to loneliness, and I'm not here to tell you to love yourself or think positively, because I know that doesn't work. I spent decades grappling with hideous loneliness, like many of you who are watching, and many, many millions more around the world. If you know me from my former music career, you might be among those who thought of me as strong. And you might have imagined that I felt like part of a group or society, a band, the music scene, or whatever. But like so much in our modern world, the face we wear in public is not the same as life lived behind the scenes. And here's the truth. For most of my life, I felt really disconnected, unseen, and isolated. And I went searching for solutions. And whenever I did, I was repeatedly told that the key to fixing my own loneliness was to learn to be happy on my own and to think positive and love myself and all that sort of stuff before I could even dare to venture out into the world and have contact with others, before I could even expect that other people would want anything to do with me. So I did what I was told. And if you're anything like me, you might relate to this other part of my experience. I know there are a lot of people in this situation out there, growing up as the family scapegoat. So the training of constantly being told in no uncertain terms that everything was my fault. Self-help and spiritual but not religious books are fed right into that conditioning. And unfortunately, a lot of us have that conditioning that we're very, very inclined to believe, yeah, it must be my fault. It's always my fault, right? And I guess the payoff for that is if it's our fault, we can fix it, right? But then you just get stuck in that, no, it's still just my fault and nothing's changing. And I thought if I shouldered the blame, right, because we should take responsibility for our actions at least. And I thought that if I did that, then somehow all of these self-help tricks and so on would actually work. But no, I did not find my answers in the self-help books that promised to cure my problems. In fact, I felt worse over time. I felt more isolated. And the fact that I still couldn't fix my loneliness despite doing all of that stuff and taking responsibility and doing all of the actions that I was meant to, there was another thing, another failure to blame myself for. They mount up, don't they? Anyway, I questioned myself, of course, how can I be doing everything right according to all of these so-called experts and have it still be getting worse? Yeah, the mindfuck of self-blame might have continued indefinitely. But here's the thing, and I'm very glad about this. I used to think it was completely useless to have a philosophy degree. And it probably is. But here's the favour it did me. The critical gaze crept in. And the more I examined the underlying values of Western spirituality and all the self-improvement stuff, the clearer it became that basically those discourses had also been hijacked by the same capitalist, individualistic values that were causing the very problems that these discourses claim to solve, which made me think of Zizek, of course. Zizek's quite big on things containing their own contradiction, right? He loves Hegel, and that comes out of Hegel. And yes, these sets of ways of thinking that are supposed to free us from our loneliness and our self-loathing and all of these things, embedded in those are the very values that make sure you cannot do it. So yes, thinking of Zizek, I thought that essentially these ways of thinking, being, doing that are advised to us, they actually obfuscate these embedded values that will make sure none of these tricks work. So yeah, that is what this podcast is going to be dealing with, spoiler alert. So the first thing I'd like to say, because this is an introduction episode, right, just to sort of hint at things that will come. And the first point I'd like you to take away watching this is loneliness is not a personal flaw. This podcast aims to introduce you to that crucial fact. Loneliness is not a personal failing. It's actually a deep existential issue with real and measurable consequences. And there was my first big nasty edit, because of course the Amazon person turned up in the middle of the recording with something for somebody else. So back to the point, loneliness is not a personal failing. We are born social creatures and we basically die without the presence of others. A baby will not survive without the support of those around it. Someone's got to be doing mothering, whether the actual biological mother, whether they're female or not. Someone has to be doing that, and someone has to support that person to do that. Otherwise, we die. So from the very beginning of our lives, connection it's not a luxury or something, it's a biological necessity. And psychologists like Bowlby have delved into this stuff, showing that loneliness is not just unpleasant, it actually damages our growth. It's the cause of developmental disorders. It kills. So it's not just about feeling sad sometimes. Our emotional well-being and our actual survival is at stake. And in earlier times, those who were banished from society, they didn't die because they couldn't build or hunt things. They know how to do that stuff. They died because they were cut off from the essential nourishment of human connection. Today, people with few or no social connections, they die younger, they suffer more illnesses, and they report lower quality of life across the board. Gabor Mate does a lot of work on this, if you're interested. And yet, loneliness is not an individual problem. Loneliness is a direct result of a society obsessed with individualism and with the atomization of human relationships. And I know what you might be thinking, okay, because I did too. It's like everyone else seems okay, so maybe the problem is just me. Well, I'm here having the same problem as you, so obviously there's one other person, but there's the facade of being fine, right? Now, this is also something that society kind of requires of us. So point one, our society conditions us to wear a facade of being fine, and actually many others are suffering behind those masks, just like we are, but they don't look like they are, right? So, I thought this too. It's like, everyone else looks so happy. God, I'm the only one dying inside. And then I realised, yeah, but I'm pretending to be happy too. Yeah, those of you that know me from music, yeah, you probably met me and thought she's a happy person. So how could I have expected to go, hey, we are the same. We're both dying inside. It's probably not a conversation starter for 10, is it? Anyway, point two. As Krishnamurti famously said, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Now, Krishnamurti's philosophy rejects the idea that the problem is us, right? Us as personal failures. Instead, he points to the structures and ideologies that shape our understanding of loneliness, connection, and self-worth. And he calls for a radical shift in perception. He urges us to reject prepackaged answers and embrace real, direct experience. And that's what we need to do when it comes to loneliness. We need to reframe the entire conversation about it. It is not an individual's failure, but the product of a system that actively isolates us while offering us so-called solutions that often cost something as well. Anyway, the lie of self-sufficiency. This is an important aspect because right now we live in a world where self-help and wellness culture and Western spirituality, they all tell us that if we just try harder, meditate more, visualize success, control the way that we think, we'll somehow be healed and ready for to be the perfect friend, the perfect partner, the perfect human, the perfect employee. But the values underlying these narratives are control, individualism, cognitive primacy. All of those things are what is keeping us stuck in the first place. And all of those things are themes we will be delving into. We're taught that we must control our thoughts, control our emotions, control our bodies. Do you sense a theme here? We must be in control of everything, including our own healing. And here's the thing. Control is a lie. The idea of it, it's very comforting, right? We enjoy it. When I think, oh, I can control, yeah, my terrible menopause here. I have like loved to believe that I can do that. It's still terrible menopause here. I can't do anything about it. And it's a trivial example, obviously, but the idea that we can control every element of our existence, it's just a tool designed to keep us divided, isolated, and easily manipulated. We'll go into that in more depth. The myth of perfect self-sufficiency tells you that if you don't have it all together, you're not in control of everything. Like if you can't get your menopause here together, you have no place in this world. And that is exactly what makes us lonely. Where connection comes from, however, really is our shared humanity. So real connection isn't from being perfect or self-sufficient or perfectly healed and actualized, right? How many people do you know that are perfectly healed and actualized? Think about the friends that you know, right? I have a lot of friends. No, I don't have a lot of friends, actually. I know a lot of people. I have a few friends. And really my closest friends taught me a very valuable lesson because one of them I looked at particularly and we are very, very similar. And I thought to myself, yeah, God, she's this struggling artist who just continually has breakdowns and that's just like me. And I love this person, So why can't I love me, actually? Because, I'm just berating myself for doing the same thing that I love in somebody else. So, yeah. Think about the Arthur Legends too. Now, I can't remember which one it is. Do feel free to write in the comments. Which one was this? Was it Galahad or Lancelot or some other guy? Anyway, they were perfect. This perfect knight who did everything right and, was always completely polite and, knocked off all the right heads and none of the wrong ones. And he did everything so perfectly that nobody could stand him. He was just fucking irritating with his perfection and doing everything right. It's kind of not human. It's difficult to distinguish such people from an AI. So yeah, the myth of perfection and that we have to achieve it before we have the right to go out there and expect to connect with people is a myth. And yes, the messiness of life and the reality that we need each other, even when we're imperfect, is there, and something that we forget with the control narrative. Philosophy taught me to question such simplistic narratives and helped me to reject the idea that I had to fix myself in isolation before I was worthy of connection. So, what this podcast is and is not, the loneliness industry is about challenging the narratives that tell us we must fix our loneliness alone. Instead, we explore the truth, right? Real connection comes from embracing our shared human experience, our need for community, and our capacity for being vulnerable and flawed. And I'm pretty good at being flawed. I don't know about you. I think we're all probably good at that, so embrace it. Lastly, let me be clear about what I'm not going to do, okay, in case it's not clear enough yet. I am not going to sell you some one-size-fits-all solution, and I'm not going to insult your intelligence by claiming that I am healed, and I've healed myself with some random brainwashing technique that I've thought out, and then I'm going to write a book about that, and I'm going to sell it to you. No, we're all very different. We have different needs and tastes and different milieus around us, where we can find that connection. So yeah, I am not healed, and you don't have to be either. Neither of us have to be healed to do this, to debunk the things that are keeping us stuck. What I am here to do is to offer you a different perspective, one that helps you recognise when the so-called cure contains the poison. And this perspective is rooted in philosophy and critical thinking, bit of psychology in there. No shallow affirmations and toxic positivity. If I do any of that, feel free to just slay me in the comments, okay? Some of you will want to slay me in the comments anyway. Sigh. You are not alone in your loneliness. That is the point I'm trying to make here. And there is a way out of this cycle. Our loneliness is here to unpack cultural myths and challenge the way that we understand ourselves and each other, and help you start building deeper, more meaningful connections, and not by fixing yourself, but by confronting the systems that make us feel broken in the first place. Important distinction. So if you're like me and you are sick to death of feeling lonely and the cycles of deep despair, loneliness, and then kind of coming out and then thinking, oh, buy this book, it'll help me, and then no, it doesn't, and you go back into the pit. If you don't want to be doing that anymore, then join me for this podcast, subscribe, and if you'd like to know more about how we all ended up in this mess and what to do about it, just subscribe, follow, or whatever one does in the internet these days. I would be stoked for you to join me for a deeper look at what keeps us stuck, especially the things that keep us stuck despite promising the opposite. They're the most dangerous of all. So I look forward to seeing you again, and I do hope you like the content. And yeah, till then, bye.